Okay. Sam, we're ready to go?
Yes, and I think we are live on Facebook.
Great.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, welcome everyone. Good morning, good evening, sabah al-khair, masa al-khair. My name is Ayman. I'm an associate at Opportunity Palestine, and we, on behalf of Opportunity Palestine, we'd like to welcome you to our inaugural webinar, the Interfaith Peacebuilders of the ELCJHL schools. Thanks for taking the time out of your Saturday morning to join us. And without further ado, we will get started. You can, great. So just a quick run through with Zoom. I'm sure many of you are very experienced with Zoom by now. But as we're doing a slide share while I'm speaking, probably the best experience is going to be for you to go to the top of your screen and you'll see a green bar that says you are viewing Samantha E's screen. You want to click view options to the right of that and go to the very bottom of that drop down and click side-by-side mode. So that's going to show you the video, and it's also going to show you the slideshow. Now, if you want to see only the person speaking on the right, on the top right of your screen, you can click view and you can click side-by-side speaker. Or if you like to see everyone speaking at the same time, you can click side-by-side gallery. As there's a lot of videos, you may prefer side-by-side speaker, but it's up to you. Great. So I hope that everyone is managing with that, and we will introduce ourselves. So Opportunity Palestine is a 501c3 charitable organization, and our mission is to sustain the educational institutions of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of Jordan and the Holy Land through development and awareness building in the United States. We believe that the ELCJHL's vision for justice and peace is essential to overcoming the challenges facing the communities of the Holy Land. So we raise money and we raise awareness. Both parts of that mission are equally important to us. We appreciate all manners of contributions, be they monetary or be they people spreading the word about Palestine and about the Lutheran schools in Palestine. Great, next slide. So what schools and institutions do we support? We support the Evangelical Lutheran School in Beit Sahor. We support Dar al-Kalima Lutheran School in Bethlehem. We support the Evangelical Lutheran School of Hope in Ramallah. And then we also support the Environmental Education Center, which isn't a sort of a K through 12 school, but it provides a lot of extracurricular programming, especially environmental education to the three schools we support. And we also support the El Mahabba nursery on the Mount of Olives, which is a nursery for, it's a pre-K and kindergarten nursery. So the next, the overall goal of the ELCJHL, this is taken from their mission, is to help children from all walks of life with disregard to gender, religion, ethnicity, color, or ability to pay school fees, receive a quality, holistic education in a nurturing Christian environment. This will inevitably impact their lives and communities in ways that will make a difference. Great, okay. So I'm gonna ask each of our panelists to introduce themselves very quickly. I'll start with Pastor Munther Isaac. Pastor Munther.
Good evening, friends. My name is Munther Ishaq, and I'm the pastor of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Bethlehem and in Beit Sahor as well, was part of the team that built the joint curriculum, which we will share about. Good to meet you all.
We'll go to Emily.
Good evening. My name is Emily Jakaman. I'm from Bethlehem. I'm the religion teacher at Dar al-Kalam schools in Bethlehem. I'm a mom for 3 children, and good to meet you all.
Thanks, Emily. We'll go to Lema. Lema there? Okay, great.
مساء الخير، حابة أحكي بالعربي في مجال خير.
مش مشكلة. She'd like to speak in Arabic.
مساء الخير أو صباح الخير لأنه إحنا عندنا هلا مساء في
Good
فلسطين.
evening, good morning. It's the evening in Palestine.
اسمي لما نوفل من بيت سحور.
My name is Lema Nufel from
الدين
Peacebuilders.
الإسلامي في مدرسة اللوثرية بيت سحور.
I'm the Islamic education teacher in the Evangelical Lutheran School in Beit Sahor.
وأنا فخورة كثير إن أنا موجودة معكم.
I'm very proud to be with you all. Thank you. We'll go to Talin.
Good evening. My name is Talin Salahat, and I'm in the 11th grade in the ELS school, Beit Sahur. And today I want to share my experience about this program with you as a Muslim student.
Thank you, Talin. And Mariam.
Hello, my name is Mariam Wahbe. I'm 17 and I'm a senior in Dar al-Kalam School, and I've been a part of this program since I've been in the 1st grade. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Welcome to all of our panelists, and we'll get started. So if you have questions come up during the discussion, please feel free to ask them in the chat box. We have 4 prepared questions, and then after that, we will take as many questions as possible from the audience. And please, again, stay on mute if you're not speaking. And yep, great, thanks. Okay, Sam, first question. So, Pastor Munther, can you tell us a little bit about the Interfaith Dialogue Program in the Lutheran schools? You're muted.
Yes, I am unmuted now. Thank you. I've been asked to share about the program in 5 minutes, and I don't know how they're asking a pastor and a theologian to summarize this program in 5 minutes. I'll do my best. I've already lost 20 seconds. I know it's not good. Well, again, good to be with you guys. And I'm looking at the names and I'm seeing so many familiar faces and names. So greetings to all of you in person, those I know and those I don't. The idea of the joint curriculum is an old idea, I think from the year 2002, that was restructured the year 2016 with a committee that I was privileged to lead. And let me explain the whole idea. In Palestine, like in many Arab countries, religious education is mandatory for all students in all schools, whether governmental or private. There is usually a preset curriculum for Christians and another for Muslims. And you see, Christians and Muslim students are together in the same class all the time until the religious education class where they separate. Christians go alone, they learn Christianity, and Muslims go alone and they learn about Islam. And we thought that by doing this, are we sending a hidden message that we can agree on everything except in religion, and that we can be together in everything except when it comes to religion? Now, keep in mind, this is in times when religion in the Middle East is used to promote exclusivity, extremism. Religion is misused by some to promote violence. And we thought, if we separate then in these classes, are we unintentionally emphasizing that message? So the idea was Christians and Muslims from an early age, they should learn that we need to talk to one another, not about the other, to one another in class about religious issues. We should learn about the other. When Dr. Charlie Haddad, the principal of our schools, asked me to help in drafting this curriculum, he told me something that I think is very profound. That we do not know is what we fear. And by not knowing much about the other's religion, it's as if we're building these walls and beginning to build perceptions about the other. we go to our class as Christians and feel good about ourselves and about our religion and say we're not like the Muslims, and they do the same. And again, these perceptions then becomes realities and lenses. And our fear is that they become kind of walls. Even though Christians and Muslim students are in the class together, we're all Palestinians in the community, always together. But by not knowing the other's faith, are we building these walls, hidden walls, and contributing to a mentality of extremism? So we thought we need to bring them together once a month, for 2 hours. Christians and Muslim students in all grades, from the 1st to the 12th grade, come together, and we built a joint curriculum together with a committee of religious education teachers, Muslims and Christians. And the idea was that the teachers, the Muslim and Christian teachers, come together, prepare the class together, and give the class together. And this in itself is a message to the students. And we build this curriculum for different themes throughout each month, what we focus on. The themes were mainly about knowing the other's faith, discussing openly the differences. The idea is not that, all religions are the same. Obviously, we have differences. Otherwise, we wouldn't need this whole project. But we need to respect the differences. We need to know the differences. We need to learn about Islam from a Muslim perspective, and Muslim need to learn about Christianity from a Christian perspective. We should find common issues and focus on them. And at the same time, we should learn the history. We found out that many people are not aware of the rich history in, about Arab Christianity, for example, about Arabs, Christians and Muslim Arabs getting together in many times previous years and building the Arab society together. So we thought history is important. And there is, of course, an experiential part in it. Visiting a mosque, visiting a church, visiting historical and holy sites for both religions. We have in Beit Sahur, for example, the mosque and the church are just next to each other. And I bet you most Christians have never been in the mosque, and many Muslims have not been in the church. So we thought we need to break this barrier from an early age and get used to the idea of visiting the sanctuaries or holy sites of the other. Our hope in this curriculum, year after year, when this becomes not just a one-time event, but a regular event that has been taking place now, at least in the new structure, for 4 years, but way before that, is not simply to create tolerance as if we need to accept one another or coexistence, but real and mutual respect and partnership to the other. For me, as a Christian pastor and as a theologian, I always think of the golden principle: love your neighbor as yourself. And to me, we're just doing that. We're finding ways to love our neighbor and to live our greatest calling as Christians. We love God, but also we love our neighbors and see the good in them. We respect them, and hopefully together as Muslims and Christians, when we do so, we create a new culture, and we take part in promoting this new reality in response to the extremism that is plaguing the Middle East. So thank you for, this is briefly what the program is all about.
Thank you, Pastor Munther, for the very detail-packed but solid introduction. I really liked your analogy about the hidden walls that are being built, but your efforts to also break those walls down. So we'll now move to our second question. And this is for 2 of our students in the ELCJHL, Mariam and Talin. So I'll let either of you decide who wants to go first. Talin, how about you go first? So Talin, what do you think of the Interfaith Dialogue program? How long have you been involved, and how is it affecting your life?
Okay. So first of all, I just want to say that here in Palestine, Muslims and Christians, we all live together in peace and love. Like we eat together, we study together, and we work together. We literally do everything together. And also only in Palestine, you will find a mosque near a church. And in my school, like Muslims and Christians students, we study and play together. Actually, before the program began, I didn't understand the real difference between these two religions, and I didn't understand what is my friend's religious. And when the program began, I started to understand more about Christianity, and also my classmates understand what is my religion too. And in the first lesson, our teachers started to explain the program, and we asked them all our questions and we discussed it together. And I remember when I went back home, I told my family what had I learned about Christianity. Actually, this program has really developed my character. Like I know their celebrations, their traditions. For example, like when I go to my friend's house, I don't do something wrong or something hurt their feelings because I know their traditions. And also in Christmas or in Easter, like I congratulate them. They give me eggs too in Easter and chocolates. And actually, this program has benefits to society. Like when everyone understands the other, we can face everything here in our Palestinian society.
Thank you, Taline. Maria?
So basically this program, I've been a part of it for quite a long time. My school always made sure that like both of us, all the students, always have as much interaction about the other religions as possible. And as what was said, here in Palestine, there's a lot of mosques and churches near each other. For instance, there's a mosque right in front of the Nativity Church, which is something, you know, it just shows on how we all lived with one another, first of all. And again, so I've been a part of it for a long time, and I learned, of course, about my classmates and what they like to do and how they celebrate their celebrations and what they have to do, because the two religions, maybe the way we celebrate it might be different, but one thing about us is that we all pray for God and we all believe in God. So this program was like something that proved to us that we are just the same and just are different in who we pray for, and that's about it. For me, this program has, I mean, it's half of who I am today, because it taught me so much of what I know at this moment, and it taught me about the others' point of views and why this happened and why that happened. And it's affecting my life in a way that's really good, because I got to learn about multiple things about the other religion, and not only from what our history books would tell us, but I got to see again the point of views of my classmates and how everything that has been going around our world. And basically I got to just go to one view with my classmates and we agreed on things. So yeah, that's about it.
Great. Thank you, Mariam and Taline. So I love what they both shared. I think that it goes beyond coexistence, what they're talking about. It's a real, fraternity. There's a real coming together. They're living together and each other's friends, even family. And I'm hoping that we can support this program more in the future. So let's go to the teachers and see how they understand the Interfaith Dialogue program. So Emily, we'll go to you first. How does the Interfaith Dialogue program fit with the educational philosophy of the ELCJHL?
Okay, first of all, the educational philosophy of the evangelical Lutheran schools from the interfaith dialogue aspect. Our philosophy is built on the basis of the interfaith dialogue between Muslims and Christians in Palestine. Since the foundation of Evangelical Lutheran School, there were Muslims and Christian students. Its policy and philosophy tightened the relationship between teachers and students and all employees, which is mutual respect for all religions. We always look at the positive side, and we focus on the things that we have in common. The things that bring people together, not the things that separate us. We have a great relationship with each other as a community, and we will be always here for each other. Doesn't matter how you are or from where you are. The more important things to look at each other as a human being. Today, we are getting closer to Christmas time, which is my favorite holiday of the year because I see our Muslim families, friends, and students celebrate with Christians, and how wonderful to see how we decorate the Christmas tree together in our school. Side by side, it's just something hard to explain. And in the morning prayers led by our principal Anton Nassar, we pray and worship together, and we focus on our school values: love, peace, justice, hope, faith, and teamwork. In the end of the day, we are in the Holy Land. So this is the way we grow up, to love one another.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, I should mention that I actually served at the school that Emily teaches at as a young adult in Global Mission. And I can testify to what she shares about living in Bethlehem, especially during Christmas time. I went to the Christmas tree lighting ceremony with my group of Muslim and Christian friends. And it was like, I couldn't even, it's not like I was even distinguishing between them. It was all just something you did as a Bethlehemite. So highly encourage you to make it there to Christmas one of these years. Probably not this year, unfortunately. But yeah, okay. So we'll go to Ustaza Lema now. ولو سمحتي وقفي شوي بعد كل جملة عشان أترجم.
اوكي ماشي. حابة أحكي أنا عن تجربتي الخاصة أنا في مدرسة الأزهرية، كيف كنت أدخل وأعطي حصصين مشتركة في الصف. تفضل.
I'd like to speak about my specific experience as a teacher in the Evangelical Lutheran School in Beit Sahor.
كانوا الطلاب كتير يكونوا مبسوطين معي لأنهم متجانسين مع بعض، وتواجدهم مع بعض في الصف دايما كأنهم إخوة، فيش فرق بينهم.
My students are very happy to be in my class. They sit next to each other and coexist with each other as if they're sisters and brothers.
فإحنا لما يكون الأولاد المسلمين والمسيحية مع بعض بيقلل من أي تفرقة بين الديانات مع الأولاد المدرسة، أولاد الصف بالذات. في إلي أنا تجربة صارت قبل أسبوع مع الصف السادس.
Okay.
حابة أحكي عنها.
I had a experience.
حاضر.
You can go ahead, Pastor Munther.
You want me to? Okay. So when they are together in class, this eliminates any possibility of the thinking that we discriminate between Christians and Muslims in our schools, and I respect that. And she would like to share an experience she had with the 6th grade.
قبل أسبوع كانت عندنا حصة دين مشتركة عن عمر بن الخطاب ودوره في فتح بيت المقدس.
A week ago, there was one of the topic of the lesson was about Umar, the second Khalifa Umar ibn al-Khattab, and how the story about when he entered Jerusalem.
فالطلاب كتير انبسطوا وتشاركوا معايا وكانوا كتير مبسوطين ومندمجين معايا كتير ما توقعتش يعني قديش كانوا مندمجين معي.
The students were very much into the story. They were so passionate and they wanted to know, so much engaged with the story.
وانبسطوا كتير. هم أصلاً الأولاد يعني حسيتهم كأنهم هم كانوا يعطوني مس إحنا دايماً إخوة، فيش فرق بيننا عمرنا، بالعكس أنا أصحابي مسلمين مس أنا أصحابي إخوة مسيحية. يعني الأولاد في المدرسة كتير علاقتهم حلوة مع بعض، عمرهم ما كان في تفرقة بينهم لا مسلم ولا مسيحي.
I felt as if it's the students who were responding to me and telling me about it. They would always say, yes, we are brothers. We are like sisters and brothers. We've never dealt with one another with discrimination. So I felt as if I'm trying to promote coexistence, but they were responding, no, we're already that.
فإحنا لما نبلش في الطالب من المدرسة، إحنا بنطلعوا على المجتمع مثقف، بنقلل من أي أفكار سيئة يكون فيها عنف.
So beginning with the students at an early age like this, we're making sure that when they are out in the society, they are already, with this new education, and we're removing the possibility of violence in the society.
Thank you.
Great.
Amen. I have just something to add.
Great.
The cause of the success of these classes is that I find students looking forward for the interfaith dialogue classes to know more about each other and exchange experience and know each other tradition. They love to be with each other in classes.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for the translation assistance. I've got to keep working on my Arabic. Got to come back to Palestine. Okay. Sam, can you go to the next slide? So before we start this next question, this is our last prepared question. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask the panelists as a whole, or you can ask one specific panelist, please put that into the chat box while we're asking this question, so that we don't lose any time in the Zoom. If you'd like, we can also have you ask the question face to face. So this question is for all of you, five, excuse me. Why is interfaith dialogue important for Palestine, the region, and the world? We'll go to Pastor Munther first.
أحكي؟ بقدر أحكي؟
أولاً وبعدين أنتِ.
Okay.
تمام. Of course, there are many reasons I can say as to why this is important, but to just give two important things. First, I think it's really important these days that we teach our students to talk to one another, not about the other. I think this is extremely important. And I've witnessed that. When I attended some of these classes. The level of interaction was magnificent. Don't take this for granted, because in the Middle East, it's usually a monologue. It's usually the teacher telling students what the truth is, and everybody's writing and memorizing. We try to challenge this in our schools in every topic, but to do this in religion, to me, is extraordinary. We're encouraging students to think for themselves, to ask the difficult questions, and then to talk about the differences with one another and discover, oh, we're similar in this. We didn't know this about you. Oh, we didn't know you do this like this. As I said, it's not just about visiting mosques and churches, about the feast as the students shared. We didn't know what Muslims celebrate, and we didn't know what we celebrate, and so on. So that's the first why I love this program. And the second reason I would add is that I think today, as I said in my introduction, there is so much, we need to, I always say, redeem religion. Religion is so much misused for promoting separation and violence and even wars. Come to our land and you'll see the horrible things done in the name of God, in the name of religion. Honestly, guys, we all know what's being done in the name of the Bible. So to change this perspective that actually religions can help us get along, and that religions don't necessarily have to be points of tension and separation. I think this is extremely important in today's world. And that's, what you've heard from the teachers. When we let them out to the society, hopefully they can be sure, I can be still a good Christian and a good Muslim, yet we can together build our societies. Religion doesn't have to be a point of tension. It's not necessarily so. So this is, why I think it's really important.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. And I should mention that under the leadership of Pastor Munther and our teachers, and actually Charlie Haddad, who started this idea way back in, I think, 2002, the Palestinian Ministry of Education has approved this for use in other schools in Palestine. So this is a great example of how the ELCJHL schools are sort of punching above their weight class and really having an impact well beyond just their schools. أستاذة لما تفضلي.
حابة أحكي إنه إذا إحنا أسسنا الأولاد على الحوار والتفاهم ويكون يتقبل الديانات الثانية وثقفناهم ووعيناهم بالنسبة للأديان الثانية، إحنا باعتبار إنه إحنا أخرجنا خريجين اللي هم شباب المستقبل، فبالتالي إحنا بنقلل العنف في المجتمع كله.
Yeah, so if we prepare young children, young students from an early age on these foundations, on respecting the other, then we're influencing a whole society. We're removing violence in the whole society. And we're working on that from an early age and really building these foundations early.
شكرا.
Oh, thank you. Shukran.
أستاذة Emily.
Emily عاملة mute.
Okay.
تمام.
Once again, Ayman, what is the question?
Why is interfaith dialogue important for Palestine, the region, and the world? يعني تفضلي.
I think that I want to answer about the question here. Have you seen any influence in the larger society from the interfaith dialogue of the program? I see that we have a good relationship between the parents, Muslims and Christians. The families is closer to each other and know about the tradition and about each other. We saw that the parents is now, I think, open-minded about each other and respect each other.
Thank you. We had another question, Emily. Someone asked, Virginia asked, is there a program for the parents?
For the parents, we have the Parents Council that the Christian and Muslims in it. But for the parents, especially we don't have.
Okay, well, that's great. The parents are still involved. Maybe that's a growth area in the future. Get the parents talking too, not just the kids.
But I think all the things that the student took in classes, they took it home to their families, and they know about each other.
Good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
We've had 3 questions about Judaism, and so I'll try to combine them into one question. But before I do that, actually, I'm ahead of myself. Talene or Mariam, would you like to speak to the general question, why is interfaith dialogue important for Palestine, the region, and the world?
I just want to say that when everyone understands the other, all our societies can face everything when they are together.
Thank you.
So I can see sometimes that around the world, not everyone knows a lot about the other religions, and because of that, something I always thank God for that I was born in Palestine, because I wasn't born in a country where it only has one religion that is known worldwide. It has 2 religions that are shared between everyone. So because of the program that we take, we got to learn about each other, which is why as well I believe that places around the world, the schools around the world, to do something like this as well, because there's so much miscommunication about other religions in countries that don't have more than 1 or 2 religions in the world. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. Great. So like I said, we had 3 questions about Judaism. So I'll allow Pastor Munther to answer this question first. And the question would be most broadly, what does the curriculum teach about Judaism? Secondarily, are there opportunities to interact with Jewish students? And are there Jewish students in the schools? And do students learn about Judaism? Yeah, so this might require you to explain a little politics, unfortunately, but as we know, to be a Palestinian is to live politics every day. So please.
No, I mean, all of our students are either Muslims or Christians. In some schools, the majority are Muslims, and in others, the majority are Christians. We live in the land with, the land is pretty much divided between Arabs and Jews. But sadly, we don't, in the West Bank, we interact with our Jewish neighbors mainly as soldiers and settlers in the context of as our occupiers. We're not together in anything other than they are occupying us, and it's a political reality. Unfortunately, that's influencing every aspect of our lives. So no, the short answer is no. We're not engaging directly with Jews unless it's in the context of as soldiers or even settlers. It's very unfortunate, and it's creating a lot of conceptions about the other. That's my fear. But in the curriculum itself, we mention a lot about, many times, we don't just talk about Christianity and Islam. We say it's the three Abrahamic faiths, if you want to call them here, what they teach in general about, for example, God or general ethics. We always try to include something that when we talk in generality, we say Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And in general, we always explain that our problem is not with Judaism or with the Jews. Our problem is with the policies of Israel. Our policies are with the occupation. So that's something we always communicate, whether in that curriculum or in other classes or through other teachers. And when, as I said, speak in general, we always say Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, trying to tell the students the problem again is not with Judaism, but rather with the occupation. But the overall nature of the program is about Christianity and Islam, because that's our direct contact in our Palestinian towns and cities.
Ayman, I'd like to add something, if I may. Is that okay? Ayman?
So, yes, just this once, though.
Thank you.
You're the boss.
I said it many times before, and I say it again. If Jewish students wish to learn in our schools, they are most welcome. But the Israeli soldiers will not allow them to even come in. It's not allowed by law for Jews or Israelis to come into the West Bank. So this is one of the issues. The other thing is that several years ago, and before the political situation became more complex than it already is, we did have some twinning programs with Jewish schools in Jerusalem. But this came to a halt because we were under a lot of pressure, as was the Israeli side, not to do any more programs of this nature. And here in Palestine, they called it normalization. Although the programs that we were doing had nothing to do with normalization, but it was a national issue, and the church council at that time took a decision not to continue with such programs. But in the future, hopefully, if things change for the better, we are open. I mean, there is nothing in our policies against having Jewish students coming and learning with Muslim and Christian students. Just wanted to clarify.
Thank you, Dr. Charlie, for that clarification. So we have, I think we'll ask two more questions, and then we'll move to our wrap up for the panel. So the next question is, do you see any benefit or possibility of expanding the program to more frequent interfaith dialogue?
Can I answer this question?
Yes, please. Yeah.
The program have many benefits, and it is possible to make interfaith dialogue, joining students and their parents, which will bring them closer together.
Great. So we talked about a parents program, and it seems like that may be the next program.
Step. Yeah.
Iman, just quickly, religious dialogue is happening in Palestine, but it's usually exclusive to the elite, if you know what I mean by that. What we're doing is bringing it to the level of first graders and second graders and high schoolers and so on. So it is happening, but I think we're bringing something different here, and that in bringing it to grassroots levels, and I'm sure it will expand, gradually, year after year, if we continue to do it.
Thank you, Pastor Munther. So our last question, I think, is a great question to end on, and it comes from Andrew Steele. Andrew, do you want to ask this question? I haven't been doing that, but if you're here on video, you can pop up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you can hear me.
We can,
but
yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, I think it's always important. This has been wonderful and very educational, and many of us, I think, are learning a lot. And so the question is, if there was one way to summarize or one main message that you would want us to take back and share with our family, friends, our networks about this work, what would it be, so that we can share the good news with our communities?
Can I say something here?
Yes, please.
I'm not one of the five, but this is a very good question. Thank you. I think because I heard it from our US partners several times and from our European partners, and they said, we wish in our schools we had a similar program, because there are some schools where they have Muslims and Christians, whether it is in the US or in Europe, some countries in Europe. And they said, we wish we have a similar program in our schools where we can have Christian and Muslim students join together in such sessions. So this would be, I think, very healthy and it will have a very great impact on the relationships worldwide, especially nowadays with Islamic phobia, Christian phobia from the other side, and so on.
إذا التانيين حابين تحكوا، إذا مش حابين أنا بحكي. If the others want to. رسالة Okay, so to me, if I want to answer this question quickly, and Andrew and the others, with what I wish people take from this is that, please help us and change the perception. Let's be honest, American Christians have about Palestine, about the Middle East. It's not all bad news. There are seeds of the kingdom taking place. There are many beautiful things. And sadly, we focus on the bad news. And we focus on the bad news even about faith. And here we're showing a very excellent model. It's very silent. You will never hear about this in the news, about, this initiative that I do believe this is changing our societies. It's creating the seeds for a better future, seeds of the kingdom. So I wish there was a news station for good news where we share these, but help us share this about Palestine. Again, it's not all bad news. Actually, there are many beautiful things happening. And thank you for being part of this. You can actually look at this and say, we're part of this. We're helping. We're investing in peace in Palestine.
Shukran, Munther. And I would love to have maybe one or two more people answer. The question is, إذا في رسالة رئيسية بدك إيانا نشاركها مع أصحابنا في أمريكا في أوروبا، شو هي الرسالة؟ و فهمتي؟ يعني عن البرنامج بشكل عام. Emily or Lema or Mariam or Talin.
كمان مرة السؤال.
Let me say it in Arabic again, Ayman. May I?
Yes.
هذا السؤال طبعا موجه لكم كلكم الطلاب والمعلمات، طالبتين والمعلمتين، انه اذا في رسالة بتحبوا توجهوها للعالم، شو هي هذه الرسالة؟ يعني اللي بتتعلق بالانترفيث دايالوج او بالتعايش المسيحي الاسلامي. اذا عندكم رسالة معينة بتحبوا توصلوها للعالم لأي حدا، شو بتكون رسالتكم؟
أنا عندي رسالة، إنه بتشوفوها على الأخبار هاي التعنيف، إحنا متبريين منها، وما إحنا بالعكس إحنا عايشين في فلسطين علاقة أخوية كثير حلوة، بنحس في بعض، بنحب بعض، بنخاف على بعض، مش زي اللي بتشوفوها في الأخبار.
So again, what you see in the Ms. Lema's message is that what you see in the news about the violence and the religious violence is not always true, and that here in Palestine we love and support one another.
ما
كملي.
فهمتش عليك. أكمل؟
كملي.
وكمان يا ريت إنه نوعي العالم ونوعي كمان يعني البرة اللي ماخدين فكرة إنه إحنا يعني دائما ضد بعض. لا بالعكس، إحنا كثير كثير قلوبنا مع بعض. يعني حتى أنا عندي في المدرسة طلابي بنبسط كثير منهم، بيكون مس إحنا كثير بنخاف بعض بنحب بعض. بيطلع لي مثلا طالب سوري يعني مسيحي، مس أنا صاحبي مسلم، أو طالب مسلم، مس أنا صاحبي مسيحي، وإحنا بنحب بعض بنخاف بعض طول عمرنا إخوة مس.
So again, and that shukran. And again, that here, you know, if you come and see how there is so much love between the students, and the students keep telling me here in Palestine we love one another, even though my best friend is Muslim or so on, we love and care for one other genuinely, and I hope people really understand this about us in Palestine, how we are living and caring for one another. شكرا.
عفوا. شكرا جزيلا للمشاركين. Thanks to all of our panelists. Just sit tight, audience, for another 10 minutes. We're about to wrap up here. So sorry if we couldn't get to all the questions. We really appreciate the audience participation. So Dr. Charlie, I'm going to give you the floor for 5 minutes. And also, can you very quickly introduce yourself? I didn't give you that chance earlier.
Yeah, thank you, Ayman. Hi, everyone, and it's a pleasure to have you with us. We really appreciate your accompaniment and your time today attending this webinar. I'm Charlie Haddad. I am the Director of Education, what you call in the US Superintendent of the Lutheran Schools. Of course, we don't have as many schools as a superintendent has in the US, but this is what my position is about. And I've been in this position since 2002. I've been asked to give a very brief idea about the financial situation, how COVID-19 is affecting the financial situation of the ELCJHL. And it is very hard really to do that in 5 minutes, but I'm going to try to do it in about 5 minutes. According to the directions from Ayman. So, of course, since the inception of the Lutheran schools about 170 years ago, our schools all were open to everyone, regardless of color, race, religion, ethnicity, financial status, and so on. Before COVID-19, which hit us in early March this year, the financial situation even then was not easy. It was very challenging because many families could not afford the cost of education, and not even the tuition fee, because the cost, as you will see in a minute, is significantly higher than the tuition fees that we charge. Now, with COVID-19 kicking in early March this year, things became significantly much more complicated and much more challenging. Parents who were able to pay in full or in part are now not able to pay. It is very difficult to collect tuition fees, and unfortunately, we have to pressure the parents to pay because there is no other way. On top of that, a lot of partners, overseas partners, have reduced their support because they are also facing COVID-19. They are in the same shoes as we are. So it is double jeopardy, if you like to call it that. If you look at the chart, not this chart, Eamon, if you put up the chart, please, that shows the tuition fees versus the cost. Yes, thank you, that's it. You can see that the actual tuition fee is much lower or significantly lower, especially in the south, in the Bethlehem district. It is much lower than the actual cost. In 2019, it was even, the gap was much, much bigger, but we took many, many steps since that time to bring up the level of local income because we couldn't always rely on our partners abroad. And this is being proven at the moment. So, in fact, this means that because of the chart that you see or the table that you see, it means that all our students, all of them are actually subsidized by the ELCJHL. We're not even coming close to cutting it even. Now with COVID-19, this situation has become much, much more complicated, as I mentioned before. Now, I would like to also add that on top of the subsidy, which every student receives, we assist more than 50% of the students in our schools. This is done through a special sponsorship program, and which is, we have collections from different partners in the US. OP is one great partner, of course, and this is an OP webinar, so I have to say that. And we have other partners in Europe who contribute significantly to this sponsorship fund, or the poor fund we call it. But also we have local partners and friends of the Lutheran schools that are also contributing to this special fund. So on top of the subsidy which everyone is getting, we are supporting more than 50% of the students by giving them additional support that ranges from about 10% of the tuition fee up to 50%. Now, in extreme cases, some families who are really suffering financially, we may go above the 50% limit. And in each school, we have what we call an exemptions committee that decides in a very structured and a very fair way who receives and how much, who receives what and how much. So it is a complicated situation made much more complicated by the pandemic. I would like to add that, unfortunately, until now, we are facing issues and problems with parents with regard to online tutoring. We have trained our staff in a very good way over the past several months so that they can cope in an effective and efficient way in dealing with online tutoring or online schooling. The problem is that parents, until now, many of them, I will say, do not accept this kind of tutoring. They do not believe in it. They don't think it will do the same job as face-to-face learning or tutoring. They may be right in several aspects, but they are not absolutely right, because if we build the culture of online tutoring, and that's what we're doing now, gradually the students, the staff, and the parents will start accepting it. So the point is that parents, or many parents, find it as a reason, sometimes an excuse, not to pay tuition fees, especially the parents who can still, under the prevailing conditions, pay the fees. And in order to make our program, our online program, more effective, we need better resources. And by resources, I don't mean the infrastructure, because we have a relatively good internet in all our schools, but we are lacking several laptops. We have started to collect some money here and there to buy some of these laptops, but we are still about 17 laptops short. So once we do that, I think we can run a more effective online tutoring system, and the parents hopefully will no longer have a good excuse or reason to say that we cannot pay in full because you're not doing 100% face-to-face tutoring. So this is in general our financial situation, but mainly I would like to say that if you look at the other chart, please, Samantha or Eamon, very quickly, I like to explain what this chart means. Of course, the blue color means the amount of money that we should be collecting. The brown color means what we have collected so far under the prevailing situation, both in checks and in cash. The yellow bar shows what we have collected in cash, no checks, take the checks out. And the green part for each of the schools shows what balance remains to be collected. Now, of course, the green part is optimistic, because we are assuming here that the checks are cashable. According to our finance officer, most of the checks paid out to the schools have returned. The parents are paying checks and they don't have an account in the bank or sufficient funds in their banks. So let's assume that we look at the bright side and assume that all the checks are cashed, and including the cash that's collected. Subtracting the yellow from the blue means that we still have the green to collect. But looking at the worst scenario and assuming that we cannot cash all the checks, the situation will be much, much more difficult. And here, let me just give you a figure or a couple of figures.
Last figure, sorry.
Sorry?
Just one more figure, then we've got to move on to the next speaker, because
I'm finishing, less than half a minute. Assuming that all the checks are cashed, we will be about 450,000 USD short. And assuming that the checks are not cashed and we're not able to retrieve them or replace them, will be about 550,000 US dollars in deficit. That's it, Eamon. Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry. So thank you, Dr. Charlie, for the details. I hope our audience can understand the importance of supporting the ELCJHL in this time, and we'll get you the information on how to do that very shortly here. So the next piece, just a very, very quick introduction to one of our other Yagams, Maddie Froyland, who took the time to design a calendar. Maddie, are you here?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Beautiful. Hi, everyone. My name is Maddie Froyland, and like Eamon said, I was a Yagam last year from 2019 to 2020. I had a wonderful time in Palestine. I loved what Reverend Munther said about the Good News channel, because a lot of times I served in ELS and at the EEC, and a lot of times it felt like the Good News channel. There was so much to be hopeful for and so much amazing things that happened at those two places. So really quickly, my mom this past fall, she buys a calendar every year for the house, and she was like, I would love to support a Palestinian cause. Do you know any places that are doing calendars? So I did a quick internet search, not very thorough, but I wasn't really finding anything. And then I remembered that the Environmental Education Center, where I volunteered at, had just done this wonderful biodiversity photography challenge this spring. So a lot of Palestinian photographers from all over the West Bank submitted beautiful photographs, as you can see some of them here, to the EEC, and they chose some of them as the winners. So Joanne, who works at the EEC, she helped me pick out some pictures from this competition to put together this wonderful calendar. And it's just kind of a message of resilience and hope. You can see how beautiful the biodiversity is in Palestine, and kind of what these photographers find is beautiful in Palestine. So this is a fun little thing that if you have donated to OP this year or you will, you can get this in the mail, and it has a bunch of fun facts about the ELCJHL. And yeah, it'll just be a fun thing to get.
Great, thanks, Maddie. And really exciting to have our YAGMs continuing to stay involved in advocating for our companions in Palestine. So great, Sam, can you? So Dr. Charlie mentioned that they need better resources, specifically laptops, to help teachers teach more effectively online, and also to students that are actually in the school but in another room to stay safe due to COVID for social distancing reasons. So we are trying to raise funds for 17 laptops. There's 17 laptops in that picture. Every time we raise the cost of one laptop for $600, they're getting these laptops at cost, very high quality laptops. I'm going to cross off one of these laptops and update the picture. So you're going to be able to see how your contributions are helping the ELCJHL schools fight COVID and stay safe. And they're really leading the way in this in Palestine, is something our audience should know. They are some of the most forward-looking administrators, teachers, leaders that we see. And some of the other schools are actually following their lead. So let us continue to keep helping them stay ahead in Palestine. Great. So some people have mentioned in the chat box, how can they support Opportunity Palestine and in turn support the ELCJHL schools? Visit our website, first of all. There's a button there on the front page, secure online giving to the Lutheran schools in Palestine. Under the donate tab, there's also the address if you prefer to mail checks. If you scroll down a bit on the main page, there's also our email newsletter. And there's a form there to sign up for that. We have social media. This is streaming live on Facebook right now. We also have Instagram and Twitter. So give us a follow, make a donation. Even if you can't make a donation, share some of our material, and maybe you have someone in your network that can help out. So just so everyone knows, you can also reach out to us if you have a congregation, and we'll help you hold a fundraiser. In the age of COVID, it's actually made it easier to organize things online for us. So please reach out to us if you have any interest in that, or you'd like to get involved in another way. Great. Next slide. So I should first just throw out a big thank you to all of our panelists: Mariam, Talin, Emily, Lama, Pastor Munther, Charlie, our honorary panelist, and the ELCJHL board, Salame Bashara, and everyone else at the ELCJHL. Another big thank you to the Peace Not Walls Network. I understand many of you here heard about this webinar from Peace Not Walls. They are doing an Advent in Palestine pilgrimage. And if you would like to participate in that pilgrimage, as I am, I've just dropped the Google link, the Google form there in the chat box. So thanks to Karen Brown and the Peace Not Walls team for helping us get the word out about this webinar. We try to support each other as much as possible. Yeah, that's all we have for everyone today. Giving Tuesday is in 3 days from now, 4 days, excuse me. So if you're looking for an excuse to donate, please make your way to our website. And without further ado, we will sign off. So some of us will hang out here afterwards if you would like to chat for a bit and decompress. Yeah, thanks everybody. Shukran. And a big thanks to Sam for being the technical mastermind behind this. Sam's my other associate at Opportunity Palestine, and none of this would have happened without her. This was her brainchild. So
thank you, Eamon and Sam. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great job.
السيس كيفك؟ اشتقنا لك.
احنا بالاكثر ان شاء الله الشهر الجاي او شهر واحد باجي
ان شاء الله يا رب. يلا
أوكي.
نشوفكم.
شكرا. باي باي.
باي باي.
Bye bye, Reverend Saeed.
باي.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
bye.
Great job, everyone. Goodbye. Merry Christmas.
Bye, Mary. Thanks.
Amen. Online, it says $500 per computer. I don't know.
Okay, I'll fix that. Thanks.
Thanks. Take care.
Fabulous job, folks.